Hi Pete, so I'm just going to run through the swing on the left, which was your first swing, same club. I think this was a 9 iron. And I'm going to go through the new improved swing on the right hand side. So these are the two frames here. I think that's the biggest fundamental change there that we've made. Okay, I'm just quite keen for you to be aware of where you finish on the way through versus the one on the left as well. Okay, so obviously we talked about distance and swinging it to where you are and the leverage that you create. You're going to limit yourself, and obviously how far the club goes back, you're going to limit the distance that you're going to create or the speed that you're going to create. But really, that's not really the biggest issue. You know, we want to put a strike on the ball. If we looked at the direction of the club coming through, you know, and just loosely, we want the club really to be working in some direction through the middle of these two lines, you know, and putting the club in a position where it's getting so far, you could use the term under the plane or behind you or too far to the right. It's going to create issues in terms of being able to strike the ball. So you mentioned, you know, obviously you'd struggle to strike the ball out the rough, and then you know, if we looked at the TrackMan data, you know, you're consistently probably hitting, you were hitting sort of 1, 2, 3 degrees up on the ball with an iron, which you just cannot do that and strike the ball consistently. So although the swing on the right hand side here is much longer, and you know, we saw an increase of speed. I think it averaged out probably about 13 miles an hour, which with a 9 iron is extremely good. I just want you to notice the different position the club is in on the way down. So these two long yellow lines are just a line drawn through the shaft at address. So if you can see the direction that the club travels now on the way down, I've just used this swing. There wasn't a ball here, admittedly. Doesn't really mean anything. It's just a good swing that you put on it, and you know, in terms of showing you an example. So you can see now the club pretty much returns back to where we said it was at address. You know, we talked a little bit about how the shaft would bow slightly forward. Generally happens under duress, so don't think that it needs to return exactly back to the original plane line. Most of the time it won't. So the biggest thing really with the swing is you've changed the direction that you're swinging the club, or you know, you can use swing direction on TrackMan. You can use club path. So you went from sort of 8, 9 degrees to the right with your swing direction to now being you know, a couple of degrees to the left, which for a zero path is pretty much where you'd want to be, with, you know, 2 or 3 degrees hitting down on the ball. But not losing sort of technical, you know, getting lost in the technical aspect of where we're going. I think really for you practicing, we want to obviously see a little bit more travel with the arm. The lead arm needs to get a little bit higher. We just use the term, or as a reference point, just trying to create a little bit of daylight between the club. When you look back in the mirror, you can see this little daylight. Obviously here it's just totally different. The right arm folds a lot better in the one on the right hand side, but again, we didn't really talk about that. We just talked about trying to get the hands a little bit higher, or they felt like you were just getting a little bit more, you know, a little bit more on top of the right shoulder. We talked about as a movement away from the ball. You can see this first initial one. There's no real movement with the body. It's very much just a case of the arms just working away. Obviously a little leverage, not really much going on with the wrist. The right arm really is the first lever to create any form of you know, in terms of helping the club get further away from the ball. So you can see on the one on the right here now, there's a lot more initial movement with that sort of torso, which in theory, you know, will allow you to get into that better position at the top of but obviously, it's got to be simplified so um, you can work on it when you're at the range, and obviously then eventually taking it onto the course. So I don't really want you to I don't want you to think too technical. Obviously, you're talking about weight shifts and center of masses and center of pressures, and obviously there is correct ways of doing things. But as most people would tell you, if you took the position you're in here, it's obviously very, very good. Yes, there's going to be certain limitations. Um, there's no getting away from it. As you get older, obviously things don't bend and rotate as well as they used to. But effectively, kind of getting away from all the YouTube technical jargon, and if you can deliver the club on this plane line consistently when you're playing on the course, you're not going to go far wrong. The way you were doing it before, I'll just draw the same line. Obviously the camera's in the same position, nothing's moved. You can see you're literally just going to hit the ground before. I mean, you actually hit this one quite well, to be honest, but you can see how the low point of the club is very, very much behind the ball. Again, a mat always get away with a little bit more on a mat. But it's too rightward, it's too underneath the plane. This is the main thing that you need to get rid of, which you have. The sort of additional length is really a byproduct of what you've done so far, but as I say, you increase the speed by 13 miles an hour, so we'll take that all day long. So hopefully that makes sense, and I know you kind of wanted to keep it a bit more visual so you could actually just copy the positions that you get to. Hopefully I've kind of gone through everything that you wanted me to in terms of how you would achieve it, but at the same time obviously keeping it relatively simple so it's easy to digest and actually implement onto the range and onto the course. So if you've got any questions, by all means give me a call, or obviously you can post videos below on the Coach Now website, and we'll go from there. Good man.